All right, here we go, guys. We're back with RP.3d. These are notes for converting units. So today our learning target is I can convert between units of measure using a conversion factor. So this is a quick warm-up. Take a minute, pause the video, and see if you can figure out this question. So let's take a quick look. It says the pancake mix requires 3 cups of flour for every 7 pancakes. So what that looks like is 3 cups for every 7 pancakes. So how much flour is used per pancake or for 1 pancake? So we know that this is a review. To go from 7 to 1, I need to divide by 7. So this gives me 1 pancake. So whatever I do on the right, I need to also do on the left. So I need to divide by 7. So we know that just because this is a weird division problem or a weird fraction doesn't mean that we can't put it there. So 3 divided by 7, we just leave this as a fraction. 3/7 of a cup, or 3/7 cups, or 3/7 of a cup. So let's move right into this lesson. So we're talking about U.S. customary units of length, weight, capacity, and time. So I'm going to go ahead and give you all of the conversion factors. Take a minute to pause the video. If you do not have any of these conversion factors or any of them are different for you, or you don't remember them as effectively as you have in 5th grade, then I want you to just take a minute and just write those down. So let's move right along. A unit conversion factor is a fraction whose numerator and denominator are equivalent measures. So for instance, 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. 1 yard is the same as 3 feet. 1 mile is the same as 5,280 feet. So on, and so forth. So the unit conversion factor, again, is a fraction whose numerator and denominator are equivalent measures. So we need to be focused on choosing the proper conversion factor. So we're going to introduce you to the unit that you want to answer, that you want in your answer. And it cancels out the original unit so that the one you want is all that is left. So once again, a conversion factor introduces the unit you want in the answer, and then it cancels out the original unit so the one all you're left with is the one that you want. So it introduces you to the unit you want, and it cancels out the original unit. So let's take a look at what that looks like in practice. So these are canceling out words. So if I have inches over feet times feet over mile, obviously I'm trying to get rid of the feet. I'm trying to get rid of the feet because feet divided by feet, these cancel out. So let's look at the second one. Seconds over minutes times hours over seconds. Well, obviously I'm trying to get rid of the seconds because seconds divided by seconds give me, or they just cancel out, and I'm left with hours over minutes. And for the one at the top, I'm left with just inches over miles. And I know you're saying, well, Mr. Golden, I kind of still don't get it. So let's work with this using numbers. So let's say that I had 3 over 6 times 6 over 5. Now we know that when we're multiplying fractions, we just multiply straight across. So 3 times 6 gives me 18, and 6 times 5 gives me 30. Now, if it works out like how I said it did in this problem and in this problem, then the numbers that are the same or the units that are the same should cancel out. So I should be focused on canceling out these 6's. So let's take a look. Well, let's try to simplify 18 over 30. 18 over 30 can be simplified different ways, but let's focus on their common factors. So a common factor, maybe not the greatest common factor, but a common factor is 2. So let's divide by 2. This gives me 9 divided by 2. This gives me 15. So now I have 9 over 15. Well, I can divide some more. So 9 and 15, a common factor they have in, or a factor they have in common is 3. So 9 divided by 3 gives me 3, and 15 divided by 3 gives me 5. So I'm left with what I wanted to be left with, 3 over 5. So in other words, if I start off with 18 over 20, and I divide it by this greatest common factor, which is 6, or excuse me, not 20, should be 30. If I divided 18 by 6 and I divide 30 by 6, then I'm literally canceling out or getting rid of the 6. So 18 divided by 6 gives me 3. And 30 divided by 6 gives me 5. So it doesn't matter if I'm using numbers or if I'm using units. The concept is still the same. The units that I want to cancel out, they need to be 1 on the denominator and 1 in the numerator. So let's take a further look. Now, here's some practice. I want you to choose the appropriate conversion factor. So, for the first one, I need to go from inches to feet. So, would I use this first conversion factor, or would I use the second conversion factor? Remember, I want to get rid of inches because I'm going from inches to feet. So inches, I need to get rid of. So which conversion factor is going to help me get rid of the inches? Remember, one has to be in the numerator and the other has to be in the denominator. Now, if you chose this conversion factor, you are correct. Inches is in the numerator, inches is in the denominator. Eventually, they're going to cancel out and I will be left with just feet or 1 foot. Let's try the next one. For minutes to hours, and I want to keep minutes and change it to hours, which conversion factor would be correct? Pause the video and take a stab at it. If you chose this conversion factor, you are absolutely correct. Because I need to get rid of my minutes, minutes in the numerator, minutes in the denominator, they need to cancel out. Let's try the next one. I have meters to centimeters. So I need to get rid of my meters, get to centimeters. Pause the video, pick the correct conversion factor. If you chose this one, the second one, you're absolutely correct. I have my meters on the top. This has been a minute since 5th grade from your from the shortened version of meters to be just M. Then you are correct. Meters is in the bottom. So I'm getting rid of meters and leaving myself with centimeters. Now, let's try to apply this. So if I want to convert 8 yards to feet, of course, a lot of you are saying, well, Mr. Golden, I can do this in my head. Well, that's great. That's great. But when the numbers become a little bit more difficult and I'm trying to change and convert 2 units instead of 1, I want you to be able to comfortably use this as an effective and efficient practice. So let's try this together. So 8 yards over 1, what conversion factor will you use? Will you use 3 feet over 1 yard, or will you use 1 yard over 3 feet? Remember, you are trying to convert 8 yards to feet. So you are trying to get rid of the yards and be left with feet. So use the one that will cancel out the units you want to change. Now, if you chose the first conversion factor, then you are absolutely correct. So we want to multiply the measurements by the conversion factor. So 8 yards times 3 feet over 1 yard. Remember, this is a 1 underneath this 8. Now, perform the multiplication. You're going to multiply straight across. 8 times 3 gives me 24. 1 times 1 gives me 1. So the yards cancel out, and I'm left with 24 feet. So in 8 yards, there are 24 feet. Now, let's try this one. A bucket holds 16 quarts. How many gallons of water will fill the bucket? Use a unit conversion factor to convert the units. So, what are the two conversion factors comparing quarts and gallons? Either pause the video and go back and see which one or which conversion factor will be comparing quarts and gallons. So we have 4 quarts over 1 gallon, or 1 gallon over 4 quarts. So let's reread the word problem again. A bucket holds 16 quarts. How many gallons of water will fill the bucket? These are two. This is a sentence here, and this is a question here. It doesn't tell you exactly to go from quarts to gallons, but that's exactly what it's trying to tell you with this sentence in this question. The bucket holds 16 quarts, and they're asking you about gallons. So that means I'm going from quarts to gallons. So if I'm going from quarts to gallons, I want to get rid of the quarts. So which conversion factor is going to help me get rid of the quarts? Is it going to be my 4 quarts over 1 gallon, or my 1 gallon over 4 quarts? Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can solve this conversion factor or solve this problem on your own. Now, here we go. This is the conversion factor we want to use. So let's go ahead and multiply this out. 16 over 1, 16 times 1 gives me 16. And 1 times 4 gives me 4. And 16 divided by 4 gives me 4 gallons. Now what I want you to do is I want you to try these two. Take a pause. And then we'll work them out together. All right, here we go. Take a look at the answers for both of these. If you did not have this, go ahead and write this down and take a look. I have my 64 ounces. I knew that I had a conversion factor. I could either chose, for the first one, I could have chosen 1 pound over 16 ounces, or I could have chosen 16 ounces over 1 pound. So with that being said, I knew I needed to get rid of the ounces, so I chose the 1 pound over 16 ounces. So the ounces cancel out. 64 times 1 is 64. 1 times 16 is 16. Is 64 divided by 16 gives me 4 pounds. The same with the bottom. Just take a look at it. If you do have a question, just go ahead and write that question down and bring it to me for class, or bring it to your teacher during class. I want you guys to try these 10 problems out. Especially take a look at number 10 if you need any help with reviewing for how to multiply or divide fractions. Make sure you're looking at your e-class page for those notes. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can solve these 10 problems. All right, let's take a look at our answers. You should have gotten these. Answers for your problems. If you did not get these answers and you missed out on a lot of them, I want you to try them again, try them a second time, and then I want you to try them a third time before you write down your questions and bring them to me tomorrow, or bring them to me to the next day, the next time you see me. All right, guys, so that was it for Unit 2. Hopefully, if you have any questions, like I said before, bring them to your teacher, bring them to us before our upcoming test.